Okay, today we're going to assemble this button maker, and I'm not going to have you make all the parts, but I'm going to use this button maker to teach you how to do assemblies. And we've done some assembly in the past, but maybe not as complicated as this button maker. And then I'll have you do the train, try to assemble the train on your own. So this is just an example of how to do an assembly. So in Inventor, if you'll start a new assembly, and then you are going to place in that assembly some of the files that I sent you on Echo. So we're gonna place those files. So choose just place right here, and we should have the button maker folder pulled up. Now we're not gonna have to place all of these, because I've provided you with some sub-assemblies as well. So the first thing, if you'll scroll down, the first thing that you need to place is the base assembly number 2. So go ahead and place that and just click once and then hit escape, and then that assembly is placed. And then the next thing you're going to place is a washer, number 10 base bearing ring. That's the washer that we need. So go ahead and open it and just click to place it, and then hit escape because we only need one of those. Now one thing I need to do is ground this base plate. So I don't want this base to move because that's where everything else is going to be connected. So I'm going to right click on the base assembly over here in my browser, and I'm just going to click right here where it says grounded. So I've got that grounded now, and so that will not move now. That base assembly will not move. So now we're ready to constrain this washer to the base plate. Hit constrain, do the insert button, the inside diameter, and then the outside diameter of this circle there. Now notice that the washer is really inside of this base plate, so if you just click here, it will flip it around, and now you can hit apply. So we've got the washer connected to the base plate. Okay, the next thing that we want to place is our lower die assembly. So if you'll double click that and then just click, and notice that it can give you another one, but we only want one of those, so go ahead and hit escape. So the next thing we want to do is constrain our upper die or our lower die assembly to the washer itself. So it's just going to be a make constraint, so that's the first one here. So choose the bottom of the lower die assembly, and then just flip this around, and you can zoom in if you want to, and we want to choose the upper part of this washer that we placed before, so just choose that and you can apply that. Now notice that we really are wanting this hole right here to be over top of this one, so we're going to mate those two as well. So again, it's a mate, and this time we're going to choose the axis of that post with the axis of, and notice that I'm hovering over it until I see the line in the middle, so with the axis of that hole, and you can see that that's lined that up. So now we can hit apply. So if you'll notice, I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here. When I swivel, this thing now swivels, but it won't move back and forth. Now it's not really supposed to swivel past this post. I'm probably going to leave that. We could use a tangent constraint to make sure it doesn't go past that post, but if we do that, it's not going to swivel at all, and really in reality this does swivel around. If you look at the true button maker, it does swivel around. So I'm going to leave that because I do want it to swivel. If I make it tangent to the post, it's just going to stay stuck on that post. So we'll just leave that one where it is. Okay, now we're ready to place our upper die assembly. So again, if you'll hit place and you'll choose your upper die assembly, and we'll place that and hit escape. So what we want to do is do our constraint again and choose the bottom of that upper die assembly. So I might have to zoom in here and maybe rotate this around a little bit so we can see the bottom of that. So I want to I can't get that where I want it here. Let's see, let's rotate that around. Okay. There we go. I need the bottom of that upper die assembly, and I want to make that to the top of this post here. So made it to the top of this post. So notice I'm waiting until I get that post. Okay, so then I can go ahead and hit apply. Now it's still not lined up exactly the way I want it. This post and this hole need to be lined up, so I'm going to choose the axis of the post and then the axis of the hole and line those up. And I have another one of those on the other side, so I need to do the same thing. It kind of looks like it is done, but really this will rotate off of that, so I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to hit constrain, and again the axis of this post needs to line up with the axis of this hole, that hole. So now I can hit apply. So now it will not rotate off of there. It's stuck the way it should be. So I've got my upper die assembly onto my lower die assembly now. Okay, the next thing we want to place is, if you'll notice at our parts list here, we've got 2 cap nuts. So that's the next thing I want to place are the 2 cap nuts. So if you'll hit place, and if you'll select that number 9 cap nut, but we want to make sure that we place 2 of these this time. So hit open, or you can double click either way, and click once, click twice, and then hit escape so that we've placed 2 of those. And I'm going to hit constrain. This time it's an insert, so anytime you're trying to insert this screw that goes into the nut, then you need to use the insert command. So I'm going to turn this around and zoom in, and I want to choose the inner diameter of this nut, so that right there, and then I'm going to zoom back out here and choose down here on the screw itself. I'll hit apply, and then I'm going to do it again with this other one. So choose the inner diameter of the nut, and then I'll choose the right there on the screw and hit apply. So I've got both of those nuts placed now. Okay, the next thing we need to place is the handle pivot pin. So if you take a look, that's part number 23. So if you'll just go ahead and place that, and we just need one of those, and then hit escape. So what we need to do here is align the center of it to the center of this hole. So if you'll hit constrain and click into, or hover over it until you see the axis, click that axis, and then we also need the axis of this hole. So we'll get that in there and hit apply. So this pin still moves in and out. So we've got to change that, and the way to change that is to find the middle of this pin and constrain it to the middle of this hole. So what I did is create an offset plane from the end of the pin, and I just kept playing with it until I thought it was in the middle. It turned out to be 0.8. Now this is going the wrong direction right now, so I need that to be negative 0.8. So that was kind of the middle of the pin. Then I'm going to create another plane offset from this plane, and that one turned out to be negative 0.31. I felt like was the middle. Then I can constrain those two planes so that this pin won't slide in and out, and we want it to be exactly in the middle. So I'll go ahead and click constrain, and this time I'll constrain this plane to this plane, and go ahead and hit apply. I was not able to create a mid-plane on a part in an assembly. Now, I may have been doing something wrong, and some of you guys that are really good at Inventor maybe could figure out how to do it, but I could not do it. So I kind of had to guess at that and use an offset plane to create those two planes. I'm going to go ahead and turn those two planes off right here, so I don't have to see those. But if you look from the top now, this pin is in the middle of that hole. This pin right here, and that's what we wanted to be in the middle of that hole. I'll go ahead and get back to my home view, the isometric right view. Okay, now we're going to place our snap rings, and it's the small ones. So if you'll take a look, that's part number 20 here. So I need to place two of those. So double click and then click twice and then hit escape. So those snap rings go on the ends of this pin that we just placed. So we'll go ahead and put those on. So I'll constrain, and I want to constrain this surface right here with the pin surface, and I really need to be on the other side so I can see here. I have to rotate that up a little bit. Oop, wrong way. Rotating is my least favorite thing to do. I need to be on this surface back here. So there's my snap ring. Now notice it's not completely lined up the way I need it to be. So I need to constrain the axis of the snap ring. Rotate that around here. Okay, so the axis of the, hit escape there and hit constrain again. It's hard to get the axis of that snap ring. I think we have it there, and then the axis of that pin, and so now those are aligned. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other snap ring that we've placed over here. So it's here, so we need to constrain this surface with this other pin. Let's see if I can make that be the way I want it to be. So right there, hit apply, and then I need to constrain the center of that with the center of that and hit apply, and now it's where I want it to be. So we've got both snap rings placed. The last thing we need to place is our handle assembly. So I'm going to go down here in my folder and place my handle, and I'll go ahead and hit escape there. Now this handle needs to line up with this post here, so the middle of this handle needs to be in the middle of the post. So again, I'm going to have to create some offset planes. So first I'm going to do the offset from this plane, and that one's going to be negative 0.7. And then I want to go ahead and turn on this other work plane that we had done earlier so that it's in the middle. So I'll constrain those two planes together. So I'll choose this one and I'll choose the other side of that one, that other plane, so that it'll go in there the way I want it to. I don't want that to turn that upside down. There we go. If I just switch it there and make it be flush, that'll work. So I hit apply there. Then the last thing that I have to do is put this hole right here on the pin. So I'm going to turn those work planes off so you can see. So I'll come over here, right click, and hit visibility on both of my work planes. So I'll constrain again, and this time I need to constrain the axis of this hole with the axis of this pin. So if we zoom in, and there the handle is. So I'll hit apply. So cancel, and now this handle rotates on that pin. Now the only thing that's really wrong with this is that it's supposed to stop right here. You actually looked at the real one. It's not supposed to go past that plastic peg there. We could use a tangent constraint to make that from stop, but I kind of like it to move. So if we use a tangent constraint, it doesn't move at all. So I'm going to let it freely go back and forth on that pin, even though it's really supposed to stop at this other pin. Okay, so that's our button maker assembly. So you can save that in your button maker folder on your Z drive, and you can just save that as a full assembly. And I've already got mine saved, so I'm going to hit cancel here, but you can save that as full assembly and submit a screenshot of this on my PLTW as well as the assembly file. So I'll need two files for this button maker assembly.